I'm Mr. MegaManFan, and today on Genesis Does, we're taking a look at Wardner, or as it was known in Japan, Wardner no Mori Special, when it was released on Mega Drive. But this started out as an arcade game first, simply called Wardner, or maybe they pronounce it Wardner, I don't know. It looks like the German V to me, so I'm going to say Wardner, and you can correct me if I'm wrong about that. The game was developed by Toaplan and released by Taito, but when it was ported, Toaplan got left out for some reason. It was ported by Visco Entertainment and released for Mega Drive and then eventually for Genesis under the name Wardner, where it is now one of the more expensive titles you can pick up for the console. $31 loose, $90 complete. So, needless to say, this is not one that I own. Not sure that I would go out of my way to own it. It's not bad, but I'll get into that in a minute. I just want to compare the Japanese price for Wardner no Mori Special, which isn't that much cheaper, $55 loose, $62 complete, but it's actually double the price new and sealed. The North American version goes for $90 brand new, the Japanese version $188 new, so there are bargains in one direction and not bargains in the other, but collecting sealed games is never a bargain in almost any respect unless you're getting something that's on clearance at a store like Target or Walmart, in which case you might actually get a new sealed game for a song. And I have on occasion, but they're also pretty worthless. They're not going to rise in value. Those are usually greatest hits titles or games that were so god awful that they have no demand now or ever. I say that knowing that full well 20, 30 years from now, some of those discounted bargain bin games may become the future collectibles and people will go, holy shit, this game was terrible, nobody bought it, now it's a rarity. But that's not necessarily why I buy those games. I buy cheap games to have new games to play and hope they're good. I'm not really keeping them sealed just for the purpose of 30 years later having some undiscovered rarity, because that never actually works out. When you purposefully buy stuff thinking it will be valuable later, 9 times out of 10 you'd be absolutely wrong about that. It's only rare when people don't save it thinking it will be rare later. It's like that whole idea of buying limited edition comic books that have special glossy covers. Well, it's not going to be valuable because everybody bought it and everybody put it in a protective sleeve with a cardboard back. So you're going to have tens of thousands, if not maybe millions of mint copies of that comic book, which is precisely how something doesn't become valuable, because if it was casually collected by kids and treated like crap and read multiple times, which comic books should be, I might add, then having a mint one is going to be rare because nobody actually thought to save them. I got way off topic here. Let's get back to Wardner. I want to talk about this game, and I'll start by telling you a little bit about the plot of the game. Now, I may not know whether it's Wardner or Wardner, but I do know it's Dover like Rover. Dover is your protagonist in the game. His girlfriend Mia has been kidnapped, and you've got to rescue her by defeating all of these bats, rats, dragons, and other things that are getting in your way. So, very much a Ghosts and Goblins type plot, but obviously not with that same style you would see from a Capcom game. This has a very squarish feel to it. Your sprite, your enemies, all seem to exist within very confined blocks. And that also is the physics of the game. When you're trying to jump from one platform to the next and there's a bottomless pit underneath you, you have to jump at the very last pixel of the platform that you're on and then jump to the next set at the exact pixel they start, or you're going to fall to your death in a chasm where you'll be falling for 1,000 years. It's just the way this game works. Get used to it. And over the course of playing for the footage in Genesis Does, I actually started to get used to it. It's not very obvious at first because you're probably trying to play it like it has Mario or Sonic physics, but you can adapt to it. What doesn't become adaptable is the instant one hit kills. It's not just these enemies that you're scrolling left to right that cause that problem. Some of them you can time their strikes at you, some of them you can wait and attack them with your fire before they get to you. But then the bosses become extremely difficult because their one hit kills mean that you have to follow their pattern perfectly and exactly. If you make any fuck ups at any point, it's game over. There's good news and there's bad news about this problem. The good news is the game is very exceedingly generous with extra lives and continues. The bad news is it wouldn't need to be if you had more than one hit in your life bar. If you couldn't be instantly killed by anything that touches you, you wouldn't need so many continues and extra lives. Another aspect of the physics that this game's engine will force you to get used to, when you jump to a hanging vine, you have to jump at the very bottom to hit the next vine and be able to cling on to it. If you try to jump from the very top of the vine, you'll hit the ceiling, and once again, you will plummet to your death for thousands of years untold. Hot tip when you see this bat here, you don't actually try to kill it like I'm doing. You have to catch the ring and then leap off of it to progress to the next area. But then watch your jumps because you can either A, fall down these bottomless pits, or B, get hit by the lightning if you don't wait for it to strike and then jump to the next vine. This game presents one challenge after another, so it's not even the one-hit kills that are the biggest problem. It's that every single area requires very precise platforming and timing, and if you miss on even one thing, it's doom for Dover. Dover's Doom could be the name of this game instead of Wardner. Despite all of this seeming to be negative criticism, I actually do like Wardner. I don't like it enough to pay $60 or $90 for it, or even $30 loose for it, but I would say that up to a point, I find this game very enjoyable. And that point would be this boss fight, which I am absolutely incapable of progressing past for the purpose of this video. Lord knows I tried though. I thought at one point by just spamming fire and jump at the same time, I could avoid this dragon's attacks and maybe land enough hits, but there's no boss meter that tells me how close I'm getting to actually winning the fight. So even when I get lucky with timing and land a half dozen or more hits, there doesn't seem to be any difference because the enemy's not changing color or showing any indication that I am making progress in the fight. So it's futile as far as I can tell. If somebody knows how many hits it takes to defeat this dragon, maybe I can actually make the effort to do it. But the thing that keeps me from succeeding even when I land multiple hits is that it does an unavoidable charge. I thought maybe if I hit it with a fireball while it was charging, it would stop. It doesn't. I thought maybe if I ran away from it when it does a charge, I could avoid it and reset to throw another shot. You can't. It catches up to you no matter what. Basically, this dragon has an insta-kill move. It's like a smash attack. If he hits you with it, you're done. So I'm going to figure it out at some point, and today is not that day. This game is now under the license of Tatsujin. They own the rights to every Toaplan game that was ever developed, including this one, despite the fact that Visco didn't give them credit when they ported it to Sega Genesis and Mega Drive. So, at some point, this might actually get a re-release through someone like Strictly Limited Games or Limited Run Games, because a lot of the Toaplan shooters that were on Genesis and Mega Drive have been getting re-released in spiffy new editions. I bought Zero Wing at one point. I'm still waiting for that to be shipped out. I don't know what the release date on that is, and with the pandemic having slowed everything down over the last 2 years, who knows when that might actually be. But Zero Wing was worth it because it was one of the four sisters of Toaplan shoot 'em ups on Genesis and Mega Drive, and I didn't have it, and not because I didn't want it or didn't look for it. It's because it just doesn't exist in a North American format. It was never released outside of Japan and Europe, so anybody that did have Zero Wing had an import, and Zero Wing was ridiculously expensive as a result of that. It's one of those Japanese games that's in high demand, low print run, and it's largely because of the all your base are belong to us meme. That's where it comes from, is Zero Wing. So thankfully the reprint that they issued is way cheaper than any of those editions. And that's my hope for Wardner, is that if they do a reprint or a reissue, it will be significantly more affordable than a Japanese import or a North American domestic copy. I think I would actually own one, but I think I would also want to be able to beat this first boss before I owned one, and I'd like to be able to do that without using save states or cheat codes. Otherwise, what's the fun in buying a game that you have to cheat your way through just to play? Maybe that's enticing to some people, but at these prices, it's not that enticing to me. I'm Mr. MegaManFan. This is Wardner No Mori Special, a difficult AF game that is pretty fun, but has a very steep learning curve and a very punishing one-hit death kill. So buyer beware if you're thinking of spending the money for a copy yourself. See you next week. Genesis, 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 What Nintendo?